What's going on, guys? We're going to go ahead and jump right on into the battle immediately here for our NPL Week 9 battle against Razor and the Chicago Bewears. Now, let me preface this a little bit, so with a little question for you guys. So, have you ever had one of those games where you really don't put in much time to prep? Maybe you just kind of don't feel like prepping that week. Maybe you were too busy. Just for whatever reason, you don't really put in the hours that you normally do for prep, and then you get into the game, you really don't know what you're doing, and you just kind of sleepwalk through the whole thing and never make any plays because you don't, your head's never really in the game. Maybe I'm the only one who's had that experience before, but that's kind of what happens here in this match, and it's kind of interesting. So. Yeah, so let's just set the stage a little bit, I guess. So this match is really important for me, alright? So I need to win this match in order to have a chance at playoffs here at the end of the season. I'm sitting at 4-4. If I were to win out the rest of my games, I'm in playoffs guaranteed. Razor is a good player. He's good. His record is not as stellar as the majority of coaches in the league, however, making this a game that I really need to win. Like, I should not be losing this game based upon the records and based upon just how we each have done this season in general. And, you know, I do lose this game, okay? I'm just gonna spoil it now. I will go through the battle here shortly, but I do lose this game. And it's because I sleepwalked through the game, and like that's not something I've done before, I don't think. And you know, this is a very unique commentary here. I haven't really done this type of commentary before because this hasn't happened before to me. But it's just kind of a mess on my end. I only make safe plays throughout the entire game, and I'm playing against an offensive team, and that just doesn't work. So even from the lead selection to the very end of the game, it's very mediocre play on my part, I would say, and like full credit to my opponent on winning this game. But we're going to go ahead and dive into this here in just a sec. Let's go ahead and list off the mons he could have brought, since you're not going to see that pretty team builder graphic here in this video. So he had access to Megaladios, Mamoswine, Azumarill, Thundi T, Fortress, Ninetales, Mienshao, Venusaur, Zoroark, Aerodactyl, and Dusknoir, with the Thunder's T being his Z captain. I brought a few cool mods in this game. I brought a Protect 3 attacks Mega Houndoom because Mega Houndoom just destroys his team. I brought kind of a fat Cresselia that probably could have been designed a lot better if I put a little more time into the build. It was just Psychic Moonblast, and then I believe it had Skill Swap because I wanted to meme and thought that was a way to counter Belladrum Azumarill. And this also has Moonlight, of course, for recovery with leftovers. Gudra's Choice Scarf, pretty nice bring here in this matchup. The Jirachi was supposed to be a good check to Megaladios, but then I never tested the team like I usually would have, and the set I brought wasn't really a counter to Megaladios. It barely would even help versus it, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, again, just kind of poor on my end there in general. Then I have a Swampert, pretty much a lead rocker, Rendoberry, just a general pivot around his Electric type and Thundurus and just other members of his team. And then Crobat, which is kind of cool, Natural Gift Ice with Toxic, Roost, and Brave Bird. A pretty good set. It's probably the best set that I brought here this week. So the team itself, first of all, is just not up to my typical standard for building. I spent very little time on it, like I already said. It has a lot of flaws that would have been uncovered if I just did even one mock battle with this particular version of the team. I did do a mock battle with the previous version of the team that turned out to be very bad, so I just kind of last minute made these changes, put in Jirachi in a spot that used to be a superior, and kind of went with it and, you know, said, hey, this is probably good. Yeah, it turns out it was not quite good enough. So let's go ahead and jump into the battle real quick, and then I'll give a little bit more of a talk here at the end. So I'm going to lead off with my Swampert, as he leads off with his Mamoswine. In hindsight, I probably should have actually led off with my Jirachi because I had no reason not to. It had U-turn, would have been able to potentially force out a Mamo with a potential Iron Head, but regardless, I am forced out just in case he goes for Freeze Dry. Go into my Cresselia, and the best thing I can do is click Psychic whenever I probably should have had something like Toxic on this set to be able to deal with whatever his switch into Crest might have been. So again, another hindsight prep error that I definitely shouldn't have had on this team. As here I go into my Swampert, expecting him to potentially go for a Toxic on my Crest, just to get at my Stealth Rocks as well, which is a pretty free thing to do here on this turn as it goes into the Mamo. Instead, I decided to go for a Toxic, though, which is also fine because I realize I don't really have too many ways to break down Dusknoir unless I get a Toxic on it, so that's fine. As I'm going to go into my Cresselia, again, the safe play into the Mamoswine as he goes for an Icicle Crash, revealing to me that he probably doesn't have Freeze Dry, or at least didn't want to reveal it on that turn. the one thing I do know is that he doesn't have the life orb on this Mammo, which means that Swampert would be able to probably take one from full health pretty easily, so he might not have it. But anyways, I'm just going to go for a Moonblast with my Crest in case he wanted to go into his Latios for some reason on that turn, so I'm going to Moonlight up now as he goes into the Dusknoir. Again, I still think he might have some way to hit me, so I believe I'm going to switch out once again just to scout and see. I go into Swampert again, a very safe passive switch into this as he goes for a Toxic. So he does have the Toxic as well as the Will-O-Wisp on this set, so pretty cool prep on his part, as now I'm going to be able to get up my Stealth Rocks as he goes into the Thundy T to threaten a potential Grass Knot. Now what I could have done here is I could have stayed in scouting for the Grass Knot because I do have the Rendo Berry, but if he has a setup variant I do need to get out as fast as possible, so just in case he wants to go for a Nasty Plot or an Agility, I go hard into my Scarf Goodra, which is able to deal with either of them. Now here he goes into his Mamoswine, potentially thinking he can outspeed me, but I am indeed a Choice Scarfed Goodra, and I'm going to be able to take him out with a Flamethrower. Now here, he goes into the Thunder's Tea, and I will pause briefly. So in my head at the time of this play, I was thinking that, okay, he has U-Turn, he's probably a Choice Scarf NDT. That was what I saw in the only mock that I did for this game, and for whatever reason I thought that was probably what he was because he had U-Turn, even though it's, you know, U-Turn's a plenty viable move on Thundy T regardless of its item. So here I made the next play assuming he would be Choice Locked, potentially going for another U-Turn on this turn, or you know, I don't know what else he would probably go for on this turn in the face of a Goodra. I didn't even briefly consider the fact that he could very well still be a Z move on this, and I go for the Flamethrower, and he goes for Z-Fly and takes me out. Now the reason this is a problem is that this was my only resist to a +6 Azumarill's Aqua Jet. And that's not smart that I sacked it on that turn. I could have made other plays. I had a full health Jirachi, which could have probably switched in and dealt with this thing at face value if needed. The Goodra was always able to check the Mega Latios, so it was always able to check this thing if it wasn't Choice Scarf. That really should have preserved Goodra, but instead I just made a very simple play based upon an assumption that I had no reason to be making at this stage in the game. So that's what happened there, and I lose my Goodra, and that's a big problem as you'll see the game unfolding here. Here I'm going to go into my Crobat just to throw out the Natural Gift Ice because I want to, and we're going to be able to take out the Thundy T as he's going to go into his Dusknoir once again, and here I'm willing to let my Crobat get burned in order to get a Toxic on this thing because it is kind of annoying for me to deal with. As I already mentioned before, I don't have the best ways of breaking this thing down outside of the Mega Houndoom late game, so that's what happens as I go for a second Toxic, expecting him to potentially double into his Azumarill. Now that I am burned, maybe trying to get a free setup on that, or even trying to go into Latios potentially, because it's pretty free to switch into this. He's kind of intent to stay in with his Dusknoir as I go for another Toxic, thinking he'll switch out. I know this Crobat beats Dusknoir 1v1, that's why I really thought he would switch out, but I guess he was waiting to see the damage from the Earthquake first, but I am very bulky, definitely am able to deal with this. Now here I could have potentially tried to make that Toxic play once again, as now he's going to switch out into the Azumarill, which would have been really nice to get Toxic on that turn. But we're going to see here, this is a Belly Drum Azumarill, and while I do have ways to deal with it in Toxic and then having Protect on the Mega Houndoom to slowly whittle it down, if I had kept my Goodra in the back, I could have been able to very easily take a +6 Belly Drum and then knock out the Azumarill at this range of health with a Thunderbolt. So just really poor play on my part there with the Goodra, and it's going to cost me my Swampert here, which isn't the worst thing in the world. That was easily the most expendable member of the team, but the issue now is that I have to go into my Houndoom and click Protect, and then I have to sack off another Mon. And what that extra sack is going to do is it's going to put me in a really tough position late game in dealing with the combination of Mega Latios and the Scarfed Mienshao in the back. So I have to sack off my Crobat here. If I could have kept the Crobat to get off a Toxic on the Mega Latios, I could have beaten the Mega Latios with my Cresselia. I needed a Toxic on that Mega Latios to be able to deal with that combination Cresselia and the Mienshao that is Scarfed, because my Mega Houndoom isn't able to freely come in and click Dark Pulse versus the Mega Latios for fear of him going hard into Scarf Mienshao, which just U-turns on the rest of my team with ease. So yeah, it just goes back to that Goodra play. That was just such a poor play on my end. I'm pretty much forced into a position now where I'm going to have to win 50-50s to be able to win the game, especially a key 50-50 where my Mega Houndoom comes in against the Latios and I have to try to be able to predict that Mienshao coming in on a Dark Pulse. That is tough. That is a pure 50-50 whenever, if I just played better with my Goodra around the Thundy T and scouted for what he was, then it would have been much better for me, basically. And just by seeing the U-turn from the Thundy T earlier in the game, I should have known he's probably not set up Thundy T. If he has U-turn, he is either choice locked or like a 4 attacks variant, maybe 3 attacks with taunt, something like that. He's not going to be set up with U-turn. That does not make sense. It didn't go through my head that way though, so this is just pure hindsight talking. And it's pretty unfortunate, I think, that this is how the game is going to play out, as I'm going to go for an Ice Punch with my Jirachi to weaken this thing as much as possible. I go into my Mega Houndoom. It's do or die now. I have to either make the play or expect him to stay in, basically trying to predict my prediction, which Razor is a very aggressive player. I thought that was the play he would make. I thought he would stay in because he likes to make the try-hard prediction in 50-50 scenarios, and he did not this time. He made the safe play, quote-unquote, and going hard into the in-shout. And here, this might be considered a choke. It's tough, though. If the Megalodios does not have a Roost, this play was a choke. But because I had only seen Shadow Ball on the Megalodios, and because it's a Megalodios that's naturally pretty bulky and probably would appreciate recovery, I had to assume it also has Roost. And that's why I made this play into Cresselia, thinking that on a U-turn I can probably still live a Shadow Ball from the Megalodios coming in, because the damage is telling me he's probably a timid Megalodios. I can probably live that. I can probably go ahead and fire off a Moonlight or two, followed into a Moonblast, and then I'd be able to take this thing out and maybe win the game with the Cresselia. That was the end game I was playing toward, but he turns out to have the Draco Meteor as well. So I lose my Cresselia. Now I'm forced to go for the Dark Pulse with the Mega Houndoom, but it doesn't matter because he has a Choice Scarf Me and Shout in the back to pick off the Mega Houndoom. So we are losing this game, as I already told you right away. I apologize if you don't really, enjoy this video as much as some of the other ones, because it is obviously much less in depth, more of just explaining my side of the story on this battle. But of course, good game to Razor. I think he played well. I think we both were kind of rushed for prep, actually. But I mean, his team won out, and I think he played better than me in this game. I think I played very poorly. And I've already given my reasons as to why I think that is the case and as to why I think that happened. I don't think I explained that. So yeah, it's one of those weeks. Not much time to prep. I don't know, like these past few weeks, like I don't know, I haven't really been in it as much. I haven't really put the time in on the teams. Like even versus Blake, I thought the team was good, but I really didn't extensively test it, and then I got bodied by Blake. Versus Gypsy, intentionally didn't bring the best team and still didn't practice much with it anyways, and kind of got bodied by Gypsy, and now I lose to Razor, and now we're out of playoffs. So, yeah. I guess that's about all. I'm going to wrap this one up. Kind of sad that we're going to end the season here, basically. Next week against Rob, Week 10 has no relevance for me in terms of playoffs. I'm not sure yet if it has relevance in terms of like a potential relegation. I might be able to just meme that game, especially if certain people lose next week, which would allow me to be able to just meme in that match for free without fearing ending up in the bottom 3. I'm like 10th place in the league right now, which 2 weeks ago we were number 3 in the league. So yep, nice fall off there. Not salty at all, but yeah, that's about it. I probably won't upload for Week 10 unless it ends up being like an actual game, because I don't really want to upload a meme match unless it's like really funny or something, and I'll be the judge of that, I guess. But in case this is the end of the NPL for this season, do want to thank you guys once again for your support throughout the season. Sorry to kind of let you down here at the end, but things got busy on my end. Motivation really wasn't there for me, unfortunately, and sometimes that happens, as a lot of you probably know. So we're going to go ahead and sign off here. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time. Peace.